What's it
Yes.
about?
Pretty obviously that was like a foreshadowing of a breakup, which certainly did happen a few months later. I forget I wrote it, I don't know, maybe a year or so before it happened, but it's pretty straightforward. And I tried to write, like the chord-wise and the music, I guess they wrote the horns, but I tried to write something that would be like, oh, if this was like a salsa tune, like this could be like an old Fania tune, Hector Lavoe could sing, So I tried to write those kind of chords, and just kind of write something in a minor key, which I've been liking. And, that was not my first, I guess that and Self-Medication. I think Self-Medication was actually the first thing I submitted to the band, right?
We were jamming on the chords because you had those cool chords.
Yeah.
And I remember the band was like jamming on it. I was like, wow, cool.
Yeah, I didn't feel confident enough to like write lyrics for the band yet. I think that is the first thing I submitted because I came in and we were working on Peculiar when I first joined the band. We recorded it at Ernesto's, and it was already in the works. And I just happened to join the band right like before we retracked it. You had already tracked some of this stuff.
That's right. That was also a strange.
And this was the next record that came up that I was actually in the band for, like the inception of. So I was like, oh, let me bring in these chords. So Self-Medication was like, I tried to use like Slacker's devices, and I like to try and write in
I'm glad we have devices.
weird keys. Well, not weird, but like creepy, also minor keys,
Right.
You found that corner of the rehearsal space.
And there is, when I first started playing with you guys and jamming, like 93, 94, we all shared the same rehearsal space on 3rd Street. And me and Ara were in a band called Agent 99. And the Slackers rehearsed down there too, and also Skinnerbox rehearsed down there. And I would sit in with these guys. I would get off work at Kim's Video and come and hang out with you guys for like an hour. And so I would learn songs like Sarah and like Cuban Cigar, and all these songs were like kicking around that had all these weird like chromatic things that I couldn't really understand. Like, how come this chord is in this song? It's not in the key. Like, it should be a wrong chord. How come it works?
We don't know either.
Right. So with Self-Medication, I tried to like, let me put this chord in here that should be wrong, but it actually works. So, it has that those little hits that are in there are kind of like, I kind of lifted from Sarah, and it also is kind of like, the change is kind of like the end of Two-Face too, so there's these little slackery devices in that I deliberately tried to write. So I'm like, well, if I want them to like the song, maybe I should write it in the Slacker style. Right? So there it is.
Agent J, the inner workings of Agent J's mind.
Never.
Yeah.
Such a score.
That's all there is. That and that.
Well, so I remember that when you guys were jamming on the tune, like I was like off stage or whatever, and it was like a sound check. And I remember I came up with that weird, because of the chords, it does this weird, like major minor thing.
Yes.
And I was like, and it was like, oh, that's cool. Like, this is creepy. It's like,
I remember when you came back with the lyrics.
Vic, how about the keyboard, the synth?
oh, that was later, right? On the recording of it.
Recording, yeah.
Let me go. We'll get to that. But I wanted to say, so I had this. So I at the time, I came up with that melody, and I was like, hey, is that okay? You like that melody? Is that cool? I remember we were talking about it. Yeah. And then at the time, I was having it was in New Jersey at this place. Everybody, we were talking about that room where everybody became addicts and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not funny, it was like, it was a sad, the addict. It was really like a strange and difficult moment. A lot of people in the house I was living in were having drug problems and gambling problems. And I was actually shuttling people back and forth to Atlantic City because I was the sober driver. Strange, anyway. And so I was around, and I would do it like begrudgingly because I was like, I know you're going anyway, so I might as well fucking drive, you fucking dicks, because you might make the rent, from winning a card game or something, and I don't want you getting locked up for drunk driving, which is certainly going to happen, and did happen once or twice. So I was kind of being my very, like, you know, whatever they call it, enabling kind of self, you know? And I remember one night we went with, it was my girlfriend, her friend, and a couple of the guys from the house, and I was so fucking pissed because we were listening to the shittiest fucking hip hop on the way home. And I was like, I got back to my house, and I went in my notebook and I wrote this angry fucking shitty hip hop lyrics, which was like, you know, my favorite medicine is whiskey and weed, you know, I free associate at sonic speed, you know. Boredom and apathy is so sublime, you know. Visions of vanity, cold dollar signs, you know. Because it was like this bullshit, you know. Yeah, for real. And then I came up, and then I was like, self-medication, you know. And then I had this like, and I was like, self-medication, and it sounds like some scary like death row kind of, you know, like you could hear it like, you know, gotta be like. You know, and I was like, perfect. I was like, this totally fits. Yeah, I know. Well, it's not the thing I couldn't tell everybody. Yeah, and I was so mad. You know, I was particularly mad at this one girl that I was just like, and she was the one that was just like, yeah, smoking blunts the whole time and just being. And I was like, fuck you. I'm like, I'm gonna write the most angry fucking, you know, addict gambling addiction song that I can possibly, you know, like muster. Yeah, and so, and I was feeling particularly nihilistic at the time anyway. So that's why all the lyrics on the record, you can hear it everywhere, where I'm like, I don't give a fuck anymore, you know? I was really at that stage. I was very like spiritually depleted, you know? And so it's like one of those moments where lyrics all over the record are like, I don't give a shit about anything. Don't forget the streets. I don't care about anything, the fight of right and wrong. I'm waiting for the day I just fucking won't be here, you know? And, you know, it's dark. It's good. It's good for creativity, darkness, you know? Needless to say. You know, and hearing myself say those things also is good, right? Because you get to hear it, and you go like, wow, that's what I was thinking, you know? Or like I hear myself say it in the moment. I'm like, well, this is very negative. I should really work on myself, you know? I should maybe figure something out.
Should have mumble rapped that.
But anyway, so that was
Face tattoos.
yeah. And then, of course, what was happening right at that time? Lil Wayne was on.
Lil Wayne?
It was the beginning of
Number
really,
two?
Yeah, it was the beginning of really negative hip hop. You know, the death of progressive thought in hip hop that we now find out that the record industry did purposely. You know. Anyway, you should know that. You probably all know. You're all hip to that shit, right? They were like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So, back to the record industry. Yes. And thank you, Jay, because I'm sorry, I got kind of like went. And that was it was great, you know.
Check back in 15 years. I'll let something else.
Yeah, I like it now.
Jay brought a lot of good songs. You brought a lot of good songs to the band. It was always like a thing, you know, like it would be like
It's too late now.
like every once in a while, you know, Dave gets some good ones, Jay gets some good ones.
You're just digging the hole deeper.
Whoa.
You're making it worse?
Once in a while,
I'm
Dave
making it
gets
worse.
a good one. What, like 4 an album for the last 30 fucking years?
Yeah. I will
It's
for
very rare I have to stand up to protect Dave.
Look at that. Thank you.
There's stage left, stage right beef going on.
That's right.
East Coast, West Coast, something.
Tearing Portland apart. You know,
I think we know one last song, right?
we do know one last song, but I just want to mention that I'm surprised because these guys, specifically Vic and